Come back to the class. After completing the topic that is transportation and animals and plants, we shall move on to the next chapter that is control and coordination. The important questions and answers we will discuss. So important questions and which are to be asked, which are we are expecting these questions to appear in the examination. So let us see what is the stimulus and response. So, a change in the internal or external environment that takes place is called stimulus, and responding to the stimulus accordingly is called as a response. So, what is stimulus? Let us take an example. So, the children are making noise in the classroom. So when the teacher comes, what happens? All the children will keep quiet. So that means there has a change has taken place, and so accordingly the children have changed. They responded to that change in the environment. So we can say that change, external or internal change in the environment is called stimulus, and acting accordingly to the change in the environment is called response. Okay. Next, what is the structural and functional unit of nervous system? The structural and functional unit of nervous system is neuron or nerve cell. Neuron or nerve cell. So what are the parts you know? So here this is the cell body which is the center of activity, and these are dendrites which are short branched structures, and an unbranched elongated structure which is called as axon, which is covered with proteinaceous sheath, that is myelin sheath, and ends with axon terminals. So the gaps in the myelin sheath are called as nodes of Ranvier. Okay, so this is the basic structure of a neuron, which is the structural and functional unit of a nervous system. And next question, what are the sense organs present in human body? So in human body there are 5 sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. So these are the important sense organs in the human body. So optic nerve is associated with the eyes, auditory nerve is associated with the ears, olfactory nerve is associated with the nose, and taste buds are present in the tongue, and next skin contains nerve receptors. Okay, so these are the sense organs present in the human body: eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. And how many types of neurons are present in human body depending upon structure? So depending upon structure, there are 2 types of neurons, that is myelinated neurons and unmyelinated neurons. Myelinated neurons means the axon which is covered with the myelin sheath, they are called as myelinated neurons, and then neurons without myelin sheath, they are called as unmyelinated neuron. Myelinated neuron sends impulses much faster than unmyelinated neuron, and it prevents leakage of electricity. So structural difference. And next question, how many types of neurons are present in human body depending upon the function? So depending upon function, we can see there are 2 types of neurons: sensory neurons and motor neurons. Sensory neurons are also called as afferent. Afferent means incoming. So in sensory neurons means the neurons which arise from sense organs, that is eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. So from these sense organs the nerves arise, and they carry impulses from sense organs to brain and spinal cord. They are sensory neurons. And motor neurons are those which arise from brain and spinal cord, and they carry impulses to the effector, that is muscles, etc. in the body. So that is motor neurons. Motor neurons carry impulses from brain and spinal cord to the effector organ. And some neurons contain both sensory nerve fiber and motor nerve fiber. So this axon is otherwise known as nerve fiber. So some neurons contain both sensory nerve fiber and motor nerve fiber. Such neurons are called mixed neurons or mixed nerves. Okay, so that means depending upon the function, there are sensory neurons and motor neurons and mixed neurons. So we have to know that all the spinal neurons, the neurons which arise from spinal cord are all mixed neurons. That means they contain both sensory nerve fiber and also motor nerve fiber. That is mixed neurons. Okay, and how the information is detected by neurons. That means neurons end with nerve receptors. So that means the dendrites carry impulses from other neuron or affect other neuron or sense organ, and they carry impulses to cell body. Cell body is the center of activity. It analyzes and it sends impulses through axon, and these axon terminals are in contact with other neuron. That means all the neurons are they form just network like structure. So that is why how the information is detected by neuron means nerve receptors are there and in various sense organs, and they detect they find out the information. So the receptors which are responsible for the detection of information. So the nerve receptors are important. They play important role. Nerve receptors play important role in detecting the information. And what is synapse? How information is passed? So what is the synapse? Synapse is a gap between two neurons. It's called synapse. That means each nerve cell is in contact with the other nerve cell and they form a network like a structure. So when an information has to be passed, a chemical is produced. That is, a small amount of electricity is produced due to chemical reactions, and this is called action potential. Very small amount of electricity, that is 0.055 volts, that is action potential. So that is why synapse is the gap between two neurons. How the information is passed means the chemical reaction, due to chemical reaction small amount of electricity is produced and the information is passed from one neuron to other neuron. Okay, that is the thing. And what is, so I am repeating, what is synapse means the gap between two neurons is called as synapse. And how the information is passed means small chemicals are produced and small amount of electricity is generated, which is called as action potential, and the information is passed from one neuron to another neuron. From that means the information is sent at a very fast rate from one neuron to another neuron, and the information reaches brain and spinal cord finally. So we can say that what is synapse means the gap between two neurons is called synapse. How information is passed means due to chemical reactions. When the neuron receptors find the change in the environment, the stimulus, they produce small amount of electricity and the information is passed. And what is reflex action? Which part of nervous system involved in the execution of reflex action? So how we can define what is reflex action? Reflex action is sudden, involuntary, instantaneous or immediate action which saves us from external dangerous stimulus. So I repeat, reflex action is a sudden, involuntary, immediate action which saves us from external dangerous stimulus. Okay. Reflex action is a sudden, immediate, involuntary action which saves us from external dangerous stimulus. And which part of nervous system is involved in the execution of reflex action? That means central nervous system, that means spinal cord. Spinal cord plays important role in the execution of reflex action. How brain and spinal cord are protected? So brain is covered and protected by a skeletal structure which is called as cranium or skull, and it is covered by three membranes which are called as meninges. So three meninges names are, that is dura mater, middle membrane is arachnoid membrane, and inner membrane is pia mater. Dura mater, arachnoid membrane and pia mater. In between outer and middle membrane, that is dura mater and arachnoid membrane, a fluid is present which is called as cerebrospinal fluid. So this cerebrospinal fluid supplies nutrients to the cells in the brain, and also helps the brain, protects the brain from mechanical shocks and injuries. So we can say finally, brain is covered and protected by cranium or skull, and these three meninges, that is dura mater, arachnoid membrane, and pia mater, and cerebrospinal fluid. These are the structures that protect the brain. And in the same way, spinal cord is covered and protected by the vertebral column, which is made up of vertebrae. So these vertebrae and cerebrospinal fluid, which flows from brain to spinal cord and spinal cord to brain, these vertebrae, that is vertebral column and cerebrospinal fluid, protect the spinal cord. Okay, brain is protected by cranium or skull, three meninges, cerebrospinal fluid, and spinal cord is protected by vertebral column, skeletal structure, and cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. Next, what is the role of brain in the execution of reflex action? What is the role of brain in the execution of reflex action? Brain has no role in the execution of reflex action. Only spinal cord plays important role in the execution of reflex action. And what is the relationship between taste and smell? Taste and smell are very closely linked. That is, taste is on the taste buds are present on the tongue. Smell is that is olfactory nose present in the nose. That means by means of smell, that means if the food is stale and it is giving bad smell, then we cannot taste it. So the smell plays important role in identifying the taste of the food also. And one more question here, what are the components of a nervous system? So here, that is taste and smell are very closely linked. That means by means of smell we can identify the type of food. By means of smell we can identify the taste. You can guess the taste of the food also. And what are the components of nervous system? Means nervous system components are three parts. That is three components. That is central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. Central nervous system contains brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system contains cranial nerves and spinal nerves, and autonomous nervous system includes sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So brain and spinal cord. So we'll study about brain and spinal cord later, detailed study. And peripheral nerves means there are two types. That is cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves are those which arise from brain. They are 31 pairs. And spinal nerves, the cranial nerves are 12 pairs. Cranial nerves are 12 pairs, and spinal nerves which arise from spinal cord are called spinal nerves. They are 31 pairs. 12 pairs of cranial nerves, 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Totally 43 pairs of peripheral nerves are present. And the third component is autonomous nervous system. This autonomous nervous system is further divided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system act in opposite directions depending upon the situation. If there is much light, then the pupil will become closed, and if there is less light, the pupil will become dilated. So that means according to the situation, sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system act. That means production of saliva and stopping the production of saliva depending upon intake of food. So that means they act in opposite directions, and they help the organism accordingly to that particular situation. So that is sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So these are all the questions. What is stimulus and response? Change in the environment is called stimulus. Acting according to the stimulus is called response. The structural and functional unit of nervous system is neuron or nerve cell. Sense organs present in human body is 5 sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. How many types of neurons in the human body? Means depending upon structure means myelinated neurons and unmyelinated neurons. And functional difference is sensory neurons and motor neurons. If they contain both the nerve fibers, it is called mixed neuron. What are the components of nervous system? Means central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. How information is detected by neurons? By means of receptors, the information is detected by neurons. What is the synapse? The gap between two neurons is called a synapse, and the information is passed from neuron to another neuron by producing small chemicals, and small amount of electricity is generated, which is called action potential. What is reflex action? Means reflex action is a sudden, immediate, instantaneous, involuntary action which saves us from external dangerous stimulus. And which part of nervous system involved in the execution of reflex action? Means spinal cord is executing reflex action. How brain and spinal cord are protected? Brain is protected by cranium, three meninges, and cerebrospinal fluid. Spinal cord is protected by vertebral column and cerebrospinal fluid. And what is the role of brain in the execution of reflex action? Brain has no role in the execution of reflex action. What is the relationship between taste and smell? So taste and smell are very closely linked. That means by means of smell we can identify the type of food. Okay, so these are all the important questions, and we shall continue with some more important questions in the under the same topic. Okay, hope you have understood, and your answer should be according to the question. Be brief and try to remember to underline the important word in giving the answer. Suppose what is the structural and functional unit? The structural and functional unit of nervous system is a neuron or nerve cell. You have to underline it. Okay, like that you have to. So brain has no role. That means brain has no role, that you have to underline. And spinal cord plays important role. Spinal cord, you have to underline it. So what is the important part of the answer? It should be underlined, and it should be written in such a way that the examiner finds the answer immediately. Okay, that should be your answering. Okay. Hope you have understood, and we shall continue with some more questions in the same topic. Okay, thank you.